What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor Now podcast and the Survivor 47 after show. And let me just tell you guys that if this is how Survivor 47 is going to bring it each and every week, I know it's crazy. Randy, calm down. We're only 2 episodes in, but this could be one of the great seasons because it has had an electric start. As always, you guys can hop into our chat. We call it our Ancient Voices chat. Let us know what you guys thought of the episode. And I cannot break all of this down alone. So tonight I have Josh, Avery, and Bruce to help me out. And I'm just going to start with Josh. I'll give you the floor first. From a fan's perspective, how good have these first couple of episodes been to you?
I'd say really solid. I mean, the 90-minute episodes have done a lot in helping you get to know people more and getting to know the tribe dynamics a lot more, because I feel like we've seen a lot of idol searching and a lot of challenges, but also I feel like we've gotten to know almost everyone in the cast so far and get a sense of like where everybody stacks up in their tribes, which is in the grand scheme of Survivor history with like 3 tribe seasons, it feels like kind of special and kind of rare to have this like thorough knowledge of everybody, only 2 episodes in, have 2 interesting, different tribes going to tribal council so far and having maybe a little bit unexpected results each time. I don't know. Everything seems really promising so far, and I'm excited. Really happy that we got to see a different tribe go to tribal this time. So we got to, dive a little bit more in depth to the blue tribe. It's, everything's looking good at this point.
I love how you put, the fact that a lot of times with these 3 tribe seasons, it's tough to learn everybody. And that's what I was freaking out about. I texted one of my friends and I was like, holy crap, I care about all 3 tribes. Like, I like the dynamics going on. I like the stories going on. I think I meant to tell you guys this beforehand. When we actually get down the breaking down everything, that might be how we do it this episode. We might just talk about each tribe individually because there's so much happening on each tribe. Avery, from your perspective, like watching tonight's episode, I know we were messaging back and forth. Like, it was really solid. There was some fun storylines happening.
Yeah. I mean, these first 2 episodes have been insane, especially compared to other seasons. Like, I feel like some seasons have been insanely more chill than this, and I'm loving the drama. I'm loving the crazy. I'm loving the idol hunting. Everything is just, it's so much at once, but in such a good way. And so I cannot wait for next week, and I hope that it stays like this season because I'm really enjoying the crazy.
Yeah, just keep it going. I think it might be just a fresh start because after 46, it took us at least 4 weeks to get going, and this season starting right off the bat on a high note. Bruce, from a player's perspective, like, are you impressed with the gameplay you're seeing? Are you not? Because I mean, we're going to get to the Andy Idol or Beware Advantage situation, but are you impressed or are you questioning some of the moves happening out there?
No, I'm impressed because they've done so much to this point that's got me at the edge of my seat, and it's so much. The stuff that they left on the cutting room floor and they gave us this, oh, good God. Like, I can only imagine what else there was. But I will tell you this. I wanted to start over the drink this big today, but I'm telling you, after watching today's episode, I need something like this. I need a big boy. And then if it gets any worse, I'm going to need this with me. So let me tell you, I got a lot to talk about, but they did a great job so far to this point. Episode 1, episode 2, it's just, the castaway development, like just letting us know exactly who they are without, and I don't want it to come across any which way but loose, but without like the sob stories and stuff like that. Like, you're just getting to know who they are just by their interactions. And that, I think, at one point was missed, but now it's here, and I love it. I love the way that they're doing it.
It just throughout the entire episode, I was just sitting there. I don't know how you guys viewed tonight's episode. If you were like me, because I was like an Energizer bunny. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? Like, this is Survivor, man. Let's go ahead and start with the the Lavo tribe. As I stated, there's so much that has happened on each tribe, and there's so many personalities clashing. We're starting to see alliances form that I feel like we have to do it justice. We have to go through tribe by tribe. And I did see some comments here. Chris, he said he predicted it would be TK, and also says, "How's it going, everyone? Hope you enjoyed the episode." I think it's fair to say we all enjoyed it. But yeah, on the Lavo tribe, we got to see the fallout of kind of the Rome situation. And this is how the episode started off hot, because my jaw was on the floor. He goes and he decides, you know what? Maybe I should tell somebody. He's trying to read this box in the middle of the night. Bold strategy. I understand he didn't expect to have to read something, but going to do something middle of the night. I'm sure Bruce could let us know how dark it is out there.
I'm sorry. You unless the moon is out, you see nothing. You honestly see nothing. You pray to God that you don't stub your toe on something or a crab doesn't come across your foot, or some critter is like crawling across your chest, which has happened. You can't see a thing. So for him to try and pull that bad boy off, just a little insight. There is a red light on the camera so they can see what they're doing. You can't see anything, literally nothing. So good for him to turn around and say, all right, I'm just going to, stash this thing away. And, I'll talk about him and his BS and telling people.
Yeah, well, he could have stashed it away, right idea, and then go back and do it himself. But he decides, oh, maybe I should tell someone, because that's Survivor Knowledge 101. Decides to tell Teeny. And then obviously Teeny and goes to tell their closest ally and Kashan. And then one of my favorite moments of the episode, it was like I saw someone tweet that it was like watching a horror movie go down, because you just see Keyshawn and Teeny go and look at the box, and then you see Rome come around the corner, and it was like a jump scare. I was like, oh no. And it was like this awkward, like, yeah, see, I felt like Teeny did a solid job, but they were like, yeah, see, I was telling Kashan because I want us to be in an alliance. Avery, I'll go to you first here. What was your take on this whole situation with Rome getting caught?
I don't think. I mean, Teeny was a great idea to tell someone to be like, hey, he has an idol, FYI. But the execution obviously did not work out. I feel like they should have been more careful and not so I guess, I don't know, more careful, do it in the middle of the night, even though you can't see, as we've heard, but it's better or just saying it instead of taking him and being like, hey, come look at this box. That Rome knows exactly where it is, and he might come over and, catch us in the act. So I think the execution wasn't so great, but it was a good idea, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. Josh, Bruce, I got to get your takes on this, because I was just baffled. I was like, oh, there's no way this could work out in Rome's favor. And yes, he's a little more weary of Teeny now. But in the end, I mean, Teeny did a pretty solid job of wrapping it up.
Yeah, if I were to go on Survivor, I think top 3 worst nightmares would be getting caught red-handed like that, and then just having to immediately on the fly come up with something. And yeah, like Avery said, Teeny did a pretty decent job at covering up what they got themselves into with that whole debacle. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I too was, had a hard time believing what I was seeing, because I was felt the empathetic, I don't know, just angst and fear for Teeny. But ultimately at the same time, Rome is kind of on the outs, and no one really trusts Rome. No one really wants to work with him. So if there's one person to burn like that, it ultimately could be worse, I think. Yeah, but it was definitely a really scary moment that Teeny recovered pretty decently from.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think Teeny did really well at speaking her way out of that situation. And at the very least, Rome is like, okay, Kashan coming into an alliance, it makes sense for us. I would hate to be caught red-handed. I have to know, Josh, before going to Bruce. How would you have handled that? If you go and you tell Bruce, and you're showing Bruce, and then Rome walks up on you.
Oh man. I'd like to think that I would have someone at least keeping watch or whatever, but Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could have come up with something better than what Teeny did. Even now, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's a lose-lose situation that you're in. But at least it's like, hey, we already talked about this group before, so I want to show Kishan too, and maybe say like something about how we had this deal. I don't know. Like you just like start saying stuff and hopefully believe something, but there's not
Just
really any way.
gaslight him.
Yes, yeah.
Bruce,
Yes.
being our resident Survivor player who has actually found an idol, maybe had that fear of like, oh, if someone walks in on me. Teeny handled this pretty well. We've talked about that. But from Rome's perspective, where do you go from here? Because obviously you've been trying to get this idol. You finally tell someone, and that person that you counted as your number one was not your number one after all.
You know what? He is already known as someone who's been running around the island trying to find an idol. What the hell do you got to tell anybody else for? You don't have to tell anybody. They already know that you're doing it. So wait till the next morning. Go check it out yourself, and then take a look at it. Oh, when I found my idol that I didn't use, when I found my idol, Jake was 3 feet from me, and Caleb was about 6 feet from me, and Kelly was about 12 feet from me. Like everybody was right there. There was no way for me to be able to slide that thing into a pair of shorts, keep it behind the hand, whatever happened. I didn't have the ability to do that, but he had the ability not to tell anyone. We already knew that he was sitting there running around the island trying to find something. They're not stupid to the fact. They've already showed it in the edit. And he had to have known that people were thinking that. So it's one of those things. Like I believe every single item been talked about so far. Nobody keeps it a secret anymore. Like it's just, I think Austin on my season kept it a secret, but that was it. Like from my recollection, no one keeps it a secret. They have to tell someone, "Oh, you're my number one." You really got to see it. You got to see it. I proclaimed who my number one was, but little did I know it wasn't my number one. Like we kind of all have this false sense when we're out there that this is my number one, this is my number one, but everybody's there to do one thing and win $1 million. But know what you're doing, know where you are. Like you are hunting for idols. You're hunting for the box. Like don't tell anybody. Just go. But coming around that corner and seeing him right there, I jumped up and down. I'm like, I got that nervous anxiousness in my chest. I'm like, no, this is just silly. What is going on? And all of a sudden, Teeny, the way she took care of that, kudos to her. That girl, she needs to win an Oscar. She's got to hold that bad boy nice and high because she did a damn good job.
No, absolutely. This scene as a whole was just an incredible way to start the episode because it's like, oh, wow, okay, we're getting right into the thick of things. I want to talk a little bit more on Rome. We got some funny stuff here that I put in my notes. I don't know if you guys picked this out. One, oh my gosh, I just had it. He asked the question when he found the box. He was like, what about just a normal idol? And I tweeted and I said, yeah, we wonder the same thing, Rome. We wonder the exact same thing. He also had an On Fire reference this episode saying when he was talking about how he's a rapper. Or he could have been a rapper. Wait, Bruce, do you have something to say?
That's what I got to say. Come on, man. Like, oh, I forgot when he was doing it. A hip, a hop. Oh, I forgot. What? Like, just stop. Dance. You can dance. I got you. Like, I put a little tweet out there myself, a little dance off you, whatever. Go ahead and do your dancing. You're good at that. Pull your usher. But stay away from the rapping. Come on, man.
What got me was him being like, I could be in the NBA, and they were like, oh, really? And he was like, I didn't play in college, so I stopped in high school.
Well, and it was Soul of all people to kind of call him out and be like, Rome is just, he's a lot, he's outspoken and stuff. You guys nailed it. Oh, yeah. I mean, nailed it on the head. Could have been a rapper, could have been an NBA player, could have been a dancer. The On Fire reference, when that happened, I knew instantly that as soon as Jeff saw that as an executive producer, he said, oh, that's for sure going in the episode, because they immediately at the bottom of the screen, it was like, hey, if you guys didn't know, Avery and I do this pre-show. I just wanted to throw it out there for you. That's exactly how it was. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if he got some royalties for that, because Jeff was freaking out about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a funny moment. And the last thing I want to talk about with Rome is, Josh, I'll go to you for this. say that, yes, we could sit here all day and play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game and all that hypotheticals, but let's go ahead and play that game. And if Lavo went to tribal council, do we think Rome would have been the person in trouble, or do we think that maybe Teeny and Kashawn, they're okay working with Rome? Because in the end, that's kind of the majority. I know it technically needs to be 4, but you could always go into like a tie vote situation, which we actually almost got tonight in the episode.
Yeah, I was actually kind of hoping that the Red Tribe would lose, just because it seemed the most interesting to see what would have happened in that situation. I didn't really expect Rome to take the idol that's only good for one tribal and just, saying like, okay, you know what? I'm not the first person going home for my tribe. Yeah, like I didn't expect that from him. I think it's a good move in his case, knowing that there's like already eyes on him and saying, just using it as a way to ensure that he doesn't go home first. But I feel like, he wants the flashy, like big moves. And, he kind of talked about that in his pre-show interviews. And then we see that more in how everyone's receiving him right now. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting him to take that. But I do think that he probably would have played it. And then I don't know who they would have gone after. I mean, I think we saw something last episode briefly with like, Teeny and Kishan and Genevieve and maybe Asia. So I don't know if like Saul was in there or not. We haven't really heard a lot at all from Saul and Genevieve, so it's kind of hard to tell where exactly everybody stacks up. I think I could see a possibility where they at least attempt or try to talk Rome into I don't know, doing something really flashy and maybe playing his idol for somebody else to make a big move or something, but then they get him. I could see a world where they tease that out a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I really hope that Red loses next week just so we can see what happens.
Oh, I imagine it would be a super juicy tribal, and I would have loved to see that. And what a power move. I also remember Teeny seemed like she had a really good relationship with Asia because she called that out. Like, I know who you are. So it's also about like where, and Avery and I talked about that on the pre-show, but like where does Asia fit in this whole situation? So it's very interesting. And we've got these interesting storylines for all the tribes, and that's what is making this season so good right now. We're going to go to the Gata tribe next, because we'll talk about Tuku because they went to tribal council a little bit later. The funny thing is I wore this to represent Andy today, the white shirt, the yellow buff. I was pulling for my dude to have a bounce back episode, and I'm sure this is what everyone's been waiting for us to talk about. But it looked like he was going to have a bounce back episode. He took the opportunity. Sam runs off from babysitting him. He decides, you know what? I need to take matters into my own hand and control my own destiny. Runs off looking for the Beware advantage. When he finds the Beware advantage, once again, I scream and I go, oh God, there's going to be so many people online who are saying Survivor is so scripted, because like this is just, it's perfect for him. But Andy decides to put the Beware advantage back. Doesn't even just pocket it and say, I'll read it later. Puts it back. I don't know how you guys feel, but this to me, I had to message people and be like, Andy, ... I was like, I don't see the play here. Like, I understand if you don't want to open it right away, but like to put it back, obviously it came back to haunt him. But what did you guys think about how this all went down?
I'm sorry. I got to start this off real quick. He said a phrase that, someone should pull his tongue out. He said, oh, nobody's really looking right now. Are you kidding me? Like when you first get on that beach, you're looking at the sand. Maybe there's an idol under my foot. Like you're looking always. You're moving. I think I said this last week. You're moving bamboo. You're looking. You're getting coconuts. You're looking. Oh, I got to, 10-1, 10-2. You're looking. It doesn't matter. You're always constantly looking for an idol. For him to turn around and say that, like nobody's gonna. And I know exactly where he was. I was in that spot at one point in time because it used to be like a little like lemony orange grove right to the side of that. That spot, you walk through there all the time. People are gonna look right there. Like, of course they're gonna look. So when he said, "I'm putting a book," you know what? take the stupid thing. There's nothing saying you have to read it right now. Just take it. Just play the game. The game is supposed to do that. Like, I had to curse some puzzles. I didn't want to do puzzles, whatever. And people yelled at me about that. Fine, I didn't want to do it. It's too early in the game to lose my vote. But this, like, you're getting an immunity idol. Like, you're potentially getting one.
And he has to know he's on the bottom.
Right.
That's the thing that this isn't a situation of like a player in a power position who is like, you know, say Sam found it and he made that decision of like, okay, I'm just going to put it back. I don't really need it now, but if I do need it later, I can come back and get it.
Yeah.
I understand if for everyone watching, you might be like, Randy, there's no difference. It's still a dumb thing. I understand it from Sam's point of view because he's like, I've got Sierra as my number one. I feel like I'm in the majority of alliance. I feel like I'm not going home. I can take this risk. For Andy, I don't feel like he's in the position to take that risk. You have to, you almost got voted out. You yourself said, you know, I'm a different person now because almost being the first person voted out changes your perspective. So it's not even like I'm assuming Andy knows he was at danger. Andy knows he was in danger. And for him to make that, it's just lackadaisical from his point of view.
I think the funniest thing about that is I texted it in our group chat, but when Sam literally goes, I look behind me, no Andy. I look in the bushes, no Andy. Uh-oh. I was like...
And his head moving around.
I mean, lesson learned. You can't go pee on Survivor when you're babysitting someone. He said it. Like, it's like the babysitter losing a child.
But what I found really interesting about that whole thing with Andy, though, is he said in one of his pre-show interviews that, like, you know, his hot take is that the idol's overrated and, you know, most of the winners in the new era, like, haven't touched an idol. And he said, I'm pretty positive, he said in an interview, that he would rather, like, know who has the beware advantage and, like, show it to a friend and have them figure it all out. So when he did that, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because he did kind of say this exact scenario in his interviews. But one, that was before he knew that he was on the bottom. And so, you know, like you guys were saying before, like, you know, you're on the bottom. You know that you're on the bottom. Go for it. But the other thing was like, okay, if he's going to hide it for later, like, he probably, I mean, I don't know. What do I know? I haven't been out there. I don't know those trees or whatever, but like, he probably should have hit it better than he did.
Well, that's the thing. Like even for like myself, like, I didn't know that I, at one point in time, was on the bottom. Like, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. Like, I had to win immunities in order to. Yeah, it's hard to tell. But what he did in going to travel and getting all those votes, and then all of a sudden it's like you shooting yourself in the foot the way that you did on the, you know, at the end of the last challenge. Like, you should know that you're on the bottom. People are looking at you sideways now. Like, I don't know. When you keep winning and winning and winning, you don't know. But then when you lose, you know that you're at the bottom. You should have opened that damn thing.
The other thing is, he mentioned, like, when he was talking to Sam later, you know, I didn't want to really lose my vote. Your vote is not going to do anything, my dude. Like, your vote at this point, you can just throw that vote in the ocean. You can take that out of that gorgeous tribal council looking set, walk down that bridge and just chuck it in the ocean. It was just a mind-boggling move that, from Andy's perspective, it was almost like, my reaction was almost like a super proud dad, almost like watching Andy. He gets it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. This is what you need. And then as he's putting it back, no, don't, like, the disappointment set in. And the other thing, and I don't know if you guys caught on to this, he said, I'm going to put it back and save it for later. Say there's, you know, we're going to tribal council or something pops up. I know where it's at. He says in the episode, I think I'm going to go get that. It's been a couple hours now. So I think I'm going to, a couple hours. You should have just took it when you had it. A couple hours. He didn't even. He didn't.
That's like, man, I'm gonna eat that sandwich. I'm gonna take a bite out of this sandwich. It's so good. It's the best sandwich I've ever had in my entire life. Just wrap that up and put it to the side, right on top of an anthill, and then I'll come back and get it later. Like, what are you doing?
I was on the same mindset. I was like, take a bite of the sandwich. I'm gonna save this as my dinner tonight, and then eat it at 1 p.m. Like, that's kind of where we're at. So he does go and walks away. Sam decides, yo, I need to find this thing. He finds it with Annika, who is right there with him. And then it's just tell all essential. Sam decides to tell his number one, Sierra, and even says, I'm nervous that Annika is going to tell her number one in Rachel. And then that's exactly what happens. Sam, I feel like this was a pretty smart move. I know that Rachel probably knows, so let me go and pull her in. Let me tell her so it doesn't seem like I'm hiding it from her. I thought that was a really smart move from Sam, and we're going to get to Sam because he's making a lot of smart plays this episode, in my opinion. And then everybody knows about this, and who has it except for Andy, who is the first one to find the thing. And then ultimately, Sam and Sierra find the box, and they decide to go with just the one tribal idol, which I was shocked about because at this point, you assume everybody knows about it. Everyone is just going to draw conclusions that Sam has it at this point. I thought, we already saw him working with Annika a little bit. We saw him working with Rachel to find it. We saw him working with Sierra to find it. I know last week on the after show, we talked about, would you go for the one idol, the three tribal idol, or the full idol? This is one of those strange circumstances. I feel like he should have gone for the full idol because everyone already knows you're looking for it. It's basically a public idol at this point. So go ahead and make it as powerful as you can. Anybody disagree with that or have a different take on it?
I could see, because it's public, like that increases the target on your back, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, blindside Sam. So instead doing like a 1 or a 3 tribal idol just to play it, ensure your safety, and get to the next step in the game, and to eliminate the threat of anybody blindsiding you just by taking it and playing it early. So I could have seen, I think I can see the value in taking like 1 or 3 rather than doing it full because it's public.
Just get it out of the game, like everybody knows about it.
use it when you can, use it quick, and then just get to the next step. It ensures that he's probably not going to go pre-merge if he does that, and then he can take it from there.
Well, what do we think about the play that Sam pitches to Sierra about when we go to tribal? What if I play this for Andy? Andy is indebted to us at that point. We have a 3-person alliance. This is something, Avery, I'm going to go to you first. This is something we literally talked about on the, not to shout it out again. I'm sorry. I'm shouting it out again. We talked about this on the pre-show today about maybe Andy doesn't go home. Maybe someone pulls him in because he's got nowhere else to go. And I've always stated that I feel like a lot of times Survivor players are just eager to throw out the person on the bottom when that's an easy vote. If you go to that person, they have no one else to go to, pull them in. That's someone, just pull them in. As Gabe said, like, what did he say? He's like, my not broken birds or something, my little birds or whatever he said, birds who need some help. Go to those players that have nowhere else to turn. Andy doesn't have anyone else. He knows, Sam probably knows that Andy's in his back pocket, will do whatever he wants. And that's a 3-person alliance right there. So, Avery, did we like this move to be like, obviously Sierra wasn't a big fan, but she's like, I'll do it if Sam wants to. What do we think of that?
Honestly, I hate it and I love it because I think he definitely has the opportunity to make a huge move pulling him in. And I mean, that's a huge blindside because who would expect him to be like, oh, let me play my idol for Andy, who everyone was planning to vote out today, and then we can just vote whoever we want. Like, I don't think anybody would see that coming, genuinely. And so I think it's a really smart move, especially because once Andy makes it to the merge, everybody saw what happened in episode 1. So that's somebody that you have at least up until the merge. If there's tribe swaps or anything like that, you have that person. So honestly, I'm going to go with I love it. I'm going to go with I think he should do it. I think it would be a big move, and I don't think that anyone would really expect it.
Bruce, great move, bad move. Where's it at on the Bruce approves meter?
Wow, I should have a background with that, like something kind of showing it. Whether it be
hey, don't give me an idea. I'll make a graphic and everything. You already know. I'm already working on it.
It's one of those things. It reminds me, I was talking to one of the players and I had said something and I asked, how's my acting? you got to be able to read the face of the person that you're saying that to. So he was saying it to Sierra, and the camera showed one thing. Who knows? She might have smiled at him and said something else. But from what we saw, and if we just go off of the edit, she was not pleased with that. So how do you walk that back if you're Sam at this moment in time? I don't think that's a good idea at all. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't like hitching my wagon to someone that you could see is flailing in the wind at this point in time, like, and trying to grasp at straws. Like, just Sam's in a good spot, Sierra's in a good spot. Like, just do what you got to do to move yourselves forward without dragging in the dead weight. It just is that in your mind at that moment in time, where you feel is the dead weight, just don't drag the dead weight with you. I don't know. I didn't like it. I wasn't upset with it, but I didn't like it.
It's almost like a ship in the water. They're doing fine. They decide to bring this anchor with them. So now they're like taking in water, like trying to drag this anchor along, with Andy kind of being the anchor in a sense. Bruins Lovers 22 or Bruins Lover 22. Where do you watch the episode? I assume you're talking about Survivor itself. You can watch it on CBS if you have cable, or Paramount Plus. You can watch it live there, or it's available the next day on Paramount
YouTube
Plus.
TV.
Is it on YouTube? Oh, well, yeah, YouTube TV. Yep, YouTube TV, Hulu Live TV. I think both have it as well.
Or do what I do in my living room on the ceiling, hanging off the wall, like jumping all over the place, because there were so many things that just made me go crazy today.
I was wondering where you were going with that. I thought you meant a projector at first, and I was like, hey, I got one of those too. Like when you said off the ceiling, I'm like, Bruce just lays back with his hands on his chest. He's like, and watches it live on the ceiling.
I'm not done yet. I'll gain 40 pounds.
Hey, do we give points to Rachel for trying to take Rice back to her camp? Because I was actually, excuse my French, pissed that Jeff would not let her do this. One, I don't think there's anything in the rule book that says you can't take rice that you use in a challenge. And like, I get that we're all for making Survivor the new era, the toughest version of the game it's ever been. I'm like, Jeff, this is a smart move. Let her take it back to camp. Like, give her flowers. Like, come on, that's fair right there. Because then I think we would have gotten a funny moment, which is what CBS is looking for, where I think the other tribes would have started digging in the sand, like picking up every rice they would have got. That's an iconic Survivor moment. But instead, we just get Jeff. Yes, I understand. It was still iconic where he's like, empty your pockets. Yeah, empty them. But I thought Jeff should have let her have the rice, personally.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was fun that she like took it, and the sly camera shots of her like putting it in her pockets, and then her getting called out and being like, oh, I didn't see anything, Jeff. But then Jeff made it less fun by like making her give it back. It's like, come on, man. Like, kudos to her for thinking ahead. No one else was thinking of that. And so she was just like, it was what? She had maybe like a cup of rice for her tribe of 5 people. Like, come on. Let her take the rice. What are we doing?
It was funny because I was watching it with my parents, and like automatically, like, she takes the rice and they're like, oh my gosh, like, are they going to lose their reward? Like, is she going to get sent home? Because they've never seen like Survivor. So they were like, is she going to get sent home?
Is she stealing the rice? Automatic elimination. You've lost your fishing gear. Go back to start. Bruce,
you get these rules, right? They tell you the rules, and they say what you can and what you can eat, what you can't eat, or you can't eat, but please use caution in catching what it is that you can't eat. And that's pretty much it. When every time I watch these things and I see them smashing rice, and like when Jeff said, oh, don't make me get my knife, when he was trying to get the immunity idol back. Now, mind you,
carry that knife around. I'm sorry. Does he just?
All I thought about was him stabbing a bag of rice. Like, I just knock it off. But he should have been able to take that. Like, that would have, you know what? Jeff should have been like, hell, we've never seen that before. Go ahead. And then everybody else, from here on, you can't, but you already did it. So just let her be. But when I saw her stuffing her back pocket, I, again, was jumping up and down like, oh my God. Like, I loved it. being a person that played the game, I loved it because even if it was half a cup of rice, divided up with some people, throw some coconut in there. We found some peppers. We went to, actually, are they on that beach? Yeah, they're on the Riva beach. There are some peppers there that we use for spices. I'm telling you, that would have been a feast for them. But Jeff had to go and ruin it. Good job, Jeff.
I think you can make a challenge out of it. Like, we've been saying, like, Josh, you and I agreed last week, like the days of starving is over. Just give them the rice. You could make something, I don't know, this is just hire me, CBS, a mechanism where you like pull something out and the rice starts draining and you have to dive in like Rome did last week and try to find a key. And the rice doesn't stop draining until you find this key. And then as soon as you find the key, you can like lock it, and whatever rice remains, you can take back with you once the challenge is done. I think something like that could be really fun.
Are you in there with the rice coming down?
Yeah, well, you know, you're going to cook it anyways. It's fine.
Oh, no, you're going to say, because if you take your phone and put it in the water and put it in rice, it takes all the water out of the phone. Like, are you going to dehydrate being inside of this rice?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they did have that challenge in a couple of the older seasons where they're grabbing meat off of like with their teeth. Like,
with their teeth.
Like, opening a meat, and they grab it with their teeth and then go spit it out. And they get to keep what they get. You know, it's like all their mouths were all over it. And they, you know, there's a ton of meat mixed with spit and stuff. But they got to keep it. Good source of protein, I guess.
I like the new era of starving. I think it's funny.
Oh, that's more.
Bruce. No, because like, okay, listen, like they used to give him so much stuff. Like, I'm like, low key, I'm loving how Jeff was like nothing. I like it.
All I can think of is when Bruce was out there starving, Avery's laughing the entire time. I'm
thinking about that now. I think there was one point in time where we were starving. All I heard was giggling. Was that you? But no, there's something about it. Like I've had conversations with old school players, and they're literally like, "Oh, they get this whole starvation. It's only 26 days." This, that, and the other. Blah, blah, blah. We did like for us to be able to just literally eat. And I told people this all the time. I lost 19 pounds. All you eat is coconut. If you catch these little sand crabs, the crab they caught today that was like this big. My God, that was every single meal. That was every meal that we had before I got any kind of a meal like winning an award, a reward challenge. But it also messes with you because if you're not eating and if you're not drinking enough water, you're dehydrated, your thoughts are gone. Like you can barely function as a human, but your thoughts are gone. So when you're eating a burger and you're thinking about, how am I going to do X, Y, and Z, you can think through that rationally. When you're not eating anything and then you try to find out and like count with your fingers, like, okay, we got this person, and you write it down in the sand. Like there's so many different things you just cannot do that you would normally do by not having any food. So I love the idea of them starving too. No food, hell with them.
At least give them that little bit of pocket rice though.
Yeah, but it's like so many other like shows about like survival, like Alone, for example, like they don't have anything like at all, like nothing. They don't give them fishing gear or anything like that. They literally put them outside and they're like, good luck. I mean, minus the competition, but they're completely by themselves. And it's like, it's interesting to see because everyone is struggling because everyone is eating only coconuts and whatever else you find. And so I think it makes it more interesting mentally because not only is it a physical challenge, it's a mental challenge. And in past seasons, like say like when they were on the boats and they were like, grab as much as you can, it's kind of like a tribe could be way stronger because they got more stuff. And so it's interesting to see them have all nothing at the same.
I like that. That's a great thought process right there.
We've seen some very bougie tribes, but I will say we haven't seen any bougie tribes in the new era thus far. Well, we still have one entire tribe to talk about, but while talking about this tribe, we will talk about tonight's elimination and all that will happen after this ad break.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more super fans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a super fan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
This is my tribe. I'm the leader. I'm going to tell people what to do tonight. 3 things that all came out of TK's mouth this episode. I immediately texted my friends that I talk Survivor about and said, 3 things you do not say on Survivor. And I thought at this point, TK's going home, but man, the Tuku tribe made it very, very interesting. We saw a lot of alliance bonding with this tribe today. We see one side with TK and Kyle. They are like this. They're bromancing it up. On the other side, we have Gabe and we have Sue. And then in the middle, you have Caroline and Tiana. Some interesting things that happened. Caroline got pulled aside by Gabe because great read by Gabe. We got to get Caroline. I got to pull her in. But Caroline immediately was like, I don't trust this guy. I don't want anything to do with him. Gabe then reveals his immunity idol. And Caroline's like, well, I mean, like, that's pretty shiny. The thing you got there, like, I don't know. I might pull up now. And then on the flip side of things, TK and Kyle, they want to make a 3. They were going to bring in Gabe, but TK was still weary of Gabe, especially after what happened last week with the whole key situation. So TK decides, hey, let's pull in Tiana. But they are still assuming they have Gabe. So in their eyes, we have a 4, but within this 4 is a 3. And with Tiana, Kyle, and TK. And within that 3 is TK and Kyle, who are number 1 and number 2. And at the end of the day, it essentially came down to when they lost, TK had a reaction to Jeff when Jeff was like, TK, people are smiling. And he said, I don't like it. I don't think anybody should be smiling, which I agree with this. And like sports, if you lose, there was, I'm an NBA fan. A few years back, there was a team that lost. The entire bench was smiling. And I said, while watching the game, I said, why are you smiling? You're down 15. What's awesome about that? So I understand where TK is coming from, but he did word it in a weird way saying, and I quote, I don't hang with people who are okay to lose. And that kind of got some eye rolls out of Tiana. So it was a situation for Tiana about where does she go? Does she go with what would be the majority and just put up with TK and, even though she doesn't really like the guy or isn't connecting with the guy, just use him as an alliance member? Or does she go with, the other side, Sue, Gabe, and Caroline, and form a strong 4? After all that, that's the landscape. Sorry, took a couple minutes there. I'll go to Bruce first here. Did you think it was going to be a tie tonight? Like, what stood out to you with all this scheming this episode with Tuku?
Move on to the big drink. So, man, listen, first off, there are certain things you have to say. There's certain ways you have to put things. And I felt that I did not come across as aggressive as he did when I was in my tribe. Because I remember when we had lost a reward challenge. Lulu had won, whatever, they got their basket of fruit. We had lost that reward challenge. And in my head, I was seething. I'm like I didn't participate. But in my head, I was seething. I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Morale's going to be dog crap, blah, 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 in my head. Externally, I'm like, we'll be all right. When you start popping off at the mouth like that and you start saying things that are just got to remember that you're playing a game to win $1 million, and there's no easier way to rub people the wrong way than to say, oh, I'm with a gang of losers, is what he basically was saying. Even when Lulu was losing, I don't think Caleb said that. Caleb didn't say to them, oh, we're a bunch of losers. Brandon didn't say we're a bunch of losers. Like, they didn't say anything. They're like, oh, we'll get them next time. This does suck that we lost, but not that I'm with a group of losers. Like, you got to, and yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but we all can see through it. He just doesn't want to be with that. And that kind of conversation is going to fester no matter what. I'm surprised. I was truly surprised. Now, I picked him in my draft.
Lost your guy today. I'm sure Josh.
He seemed like a good pick. He seemed like a
right?
good pick. I don't blame you.
till he opened his mouth and started talking like he's
Just shoot him a text. Why'd you open your mouth?
like, bro, like keep winning, and then maybe you start talking more. But if you're not winning, then shut your face. Anyway, love you to death. We'll meet one day, I promise you. But it's like it just comes down to you. Like that scenario didn't make any sense to me to be able to talk to your tribe that way. Like, and I know that I didn't use the greatest language when I was on. I rewound and watched my season again. I was told multiple things that I didn't hear, but whatever. You have to be conscious of that. You can't sit there and run off at the mouth. And like I said, I was going to say, I'm surprised it was that close. I'm surprised they just didn't all go at him because it was, whatever. Like he at that point in time was someone that just couldn't bring everybody together.
No, I definitely couldn't agree more with everything you just said. I thought at first when I texted you guys and said, TK's going home tonight, I thought that's how it was going to go down. And Josh, like, were you shocked that Tiana was weighing the fact of like, yo, I don't really vibe with him, but I'll go with this group. I'm like, why do you have to? There's two groups. If you don't vibe with him, just go with the group you're vibing with. I didn't get that side of things.
Yeah, I don't know how much she was necessarily vibing with the other group because it also seemed like she was maybe a little weary of Gabe, which everybody was last week. Yeah. So I get she's like, okay, well, I do have a good thing with Kyle, and TK is like willing to work with me. So, and she said she wanted to be able to say like pre-show, I don't necessarily need to like you, but I'll work with you, which sounds nice in theory, but in a social game, that can be hard. And when you only have so many votes, and I also understand her point of like, not wanting to isolate Kyle because Kyle did seem, he did seem kind of burned.
His reaction at tribal council.
Like, no. I know, poor guy.
That was tough.
Yeah, I think it made sense for why she kind of wanted to stick with them initially, especially if like, okay, we lost once, we want to keep the tribe strong, as they say. But I don't know. I think when it came down to like, oh man, it's either like go to Rocks or flip on TK. Like she didn't. I knew there was no way she was going to go to Rocks for TK.
See, that's what I was thinking too, because we were talking about like, is this going to end in Rocks? And at first I was like, I don't think this is. I did think it was going to be a tie. That was my prediction going in, but I didn't think that it was going to go to Rocks because I'm like, Tiana and Caroline, neither one of them are going to Rocks. I promise you. Like I promise you what would have happened is they would have tried to get Tiana to flip because that's exactly what they said. If we tie, we'll see if we can get Tiana to flip and go with us because she won't want to go to Rocks. It's a 25% chance. And I'm sure they would have pitched that. Like if we go to Rocks, it's 25% chance you're going home right now. Plus Gabe played his idol. So it would have only been a 33 point something percent chance because Gabe would have been immune. But if they couldn't get Tiana, I still don't think they're going to Rocks because I think at that point Caroline would have went, I'm not going to Rocks. I'll vote the other way. I think that's what would have happened. Avery, do you have like a similar feeling?
I completely agree that Caroline, I definitely think that if it got to that point, she would flip. But honestly, I never thought that Tiana was going to vote for Sue anyways. I didn't. After their like talk on the beach when TK was being all chatterbox for quite a little bit while they were trying to sleep and Sue was kind of like, what the heck? And they were chatting with each other. I was like, the second I saw Sue go up to her and be like, hey, listen, what about TK? I knew she was going that route. I knew she was going that route because I think in a sense she trusted Sue more to where a part of her maybe felt like, hey, maybe she does have the numbers. And that's why she made that vote. But I never thought that she was going to vote for Sue in the first place at all. But it was crazy. Gabe, I don't know what he was on tonight with flushing his own idol, but
yeah, that was something.
Let me tell you something. I'm sorry. They're
go for it.
They're sitting there like, I need to take a nap. Fine, take a nap. Nobody does it in the Fijian sun. I don't know what the hell was going on there. You could be in the middle of the forest, in the jungle, and the sun can come through one little spot and come through and hit you in the side of your face, and you are on fire. Like, I don't know what was going on. They were laying on the beach in the middle of the day in the sun and trying to take a nap. Like, come
Trying to
on,
get
man,
tan.
no.
I was going to ask, is anyone on this panel one of those people that if you're trying to sleep and someone just won't shut up next to you, would that be like something that makes you snap? Would you be that person where it's like, I can't with this person, like they're my target? I'm just one of the people, I feel like I would have either moved or like I can sleep with people talking. I'm blessed enough to have that ability, so I probably would have just still slept. But I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts would be if you're in that situation.
I'm narcoleptic, so I'd be falling asleep all the time. So I would be very lucky on Survivor because I know I would get my sleep. But at the same
They're
time,
checking on Avery all the time. They're like, no, she's good. She's good.
she's good.
Middle of the
She's just
challenge, looking
asleep.
back. What's Avery doing? Yeah, all right.
She's fine.
But no, I wouldn't fall asleep during any challenges or anything. But if I'm sitting down, I will fall asleep. So if somebody is chatting, unless they are chatting in my ear and won't shut up, I won't say anything. But if someone was like literally talking to me in my ear, I would be like, you need to stop talking so I can sleep.
Josh, Bruce, either of you guys?
Josh, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I also am blessed with the ability of I can sleep with, varying levels of noise, unless again, they're like right in my ear or something like that. I don't know. I mean, my freshman year of college, I lived in a dorm with a vent on the door, so like you could hear everything going on outside. So and I lived in an all guys dorm, so like you learn how to fall asleep and all sorts of things. And then that's a gift that just stuck with me for a long time. So
no, Josh, I just connected with you so much because I lived in a dorm with the football team. It was a weird year. They were about to knock the dorm down. I was a theater major, but they had the theater kids mixed in with the football team, which great decision. So the funny thing, like they would constantly be like coming back hype from practice or whatever and be like down the halls like like banging on the walls and stuff, and it's like you get used to it. Bruce, I round us out here. Are you that type of person you can just sleep?
Well, I honed in my skill of sleeping when I was in the Navy. It was always loud on the ship. The engines were always going. You always had some kind of noise. You had to fall asleep. If not, then like sorry for you, because literally it was just so bad. If you couldn't sleep, you always had something you had to do. So falling asleep is always key. I'm going to grab something from a friend of mine. He says it all the time. I can fall asleep on a ladder. Like, it doesn't matter. I can fall asleep anywhere. If we're sitting here having a conversation, literally my friends have said to me, Bruce, did I lose you? And I'm just like,
please don't fall asleep on stream. I would be so concerned. I'd be taking my phone like, do I need to call 911? Like, I have a man on stream right now. He just like passed out. Go to his house.
Oh man, I'm not narcoleptic. I will say that I am not that. But honestly, there are sometimes my friends think that I am, because either the stories are boring or it's just been a long day, and I'll just be sitting there and I'll just be like, I'm just out.
I'm going to pass that to Abraham. I think that's a compliment to me, Josh, and Abe, that we have not said any boring stories that have put you to sleep yet. So I'll take it. The last thing we have to talk about, Avery briefly mentioned it. Josh, you agreed with her when you were like, I don't know what Gabe was doing. He flushed his 3 tribal idol. And I honestly, when he was playing it, I thought it was a really good move. I know, let me see. We're losing Avery for a second. See if we can get her back here. But it looked like it was going to be a really great move. I was like, man, this is exactly what Survivor needs. Like, this is going to be a huge idol play, 2nd episode of the season. And he plays it for himself. When I thought he was playing it for Sue, I was like, great idea. Josh, try to walk us through this, because I can't. You're usually pretty good at putting us in the mindset of what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I thought beforehand, going into the tribal, I'm like, okay, TK is toast. Either they tie, and then Tiana's like, sorry, bro, I'm not going to rocks for you, votes him out. Or Gabe avoids the rock situation altogether and plays his idol for Sue, because that's where they knew the votes were going. So then I was just as surprised as everyone else was when he played for himself. But I think the one thing, it would be like, okay, it is the first vote. Maybe I'm just getting duped by everyone, and I just don't want to be the first person to go home. And I I kind of don't fault him for that. He got what he wanted, and that TK left, and the target's off his back because he doesn't have his idol. If he played it for Sue, it would have canceled out the 2 votes, but ultimately wouldn't have mattered. I think another thought process there would be if he had, if they had gone to rocks, for instance, he then, by playing his idol, he is safe. So he's like, oh, I can go all out in pushing for rocks or pushing for TK to go without putting any skin in the game for myself because I'm immune. So that could have been a thought process, but I think it's probably more the former of, I just don't want to be the first person to go, and I'm just going to play it extra safe here, even though I think I know where all the votes are going.
It seems like he was a little bit paranoid. I mean, it could work out in his favor. We've seen idols be death curses, especially in recent seasons. And you said earlier, Josh, maybe Sam just got that one tribal idol just to get it out of the game. I have it, I'll play it, we're done, we're even. Maybe Gabe kind of, I don't think it could work out in his favor because of that. There's no question anymore. The thing that worries me is Tiana was already weary about Gabe, and now she was going to work with him, and now it's like, well, wait a minute. You didn't tell me you had an idol. So there could be that in the back of Tiana's mind of how much can I actually trust Gabe? Because I didn't know about it. And then, so I don't know where this tribe is going to go moving forward, because obviously Kyle's a free agent. Tiana seemed like she was pretty chill with Kyle. So maybe they end up working together, but it's still if that's the situation, and I'm playing hypothetical now, it would put Caroline in the middle. And she was also very weary of Gabe. So it'll be interesting moving forward. But Avery, I'll go to you next. I know we lost you there, but you were actually the one who brought up the fact that, no, you're fine. Stuff happens. It's all good. But you were the one that brought up in the first place that Gabe using his idol was a big question mark for you. So, I mean, where does he go from here? It's out there. Everyone knows you played it now. You misplayed it, but is this it's not going to really affect his game that much?
I think the worst part about it, see, I don't know, because I think that the worst part about it is now that everybody sees, okay, this idol has been played, this idol is gone. There's something else on that island now. And so it's in a sense of, is he going to go crazy searching for it again and make himself a bigger target? Or is he just going to leave it alone and somebody else finds it? I have no idea. So I think it depends on how he moves forward from it. I do think that it was kind of pointless, but at the same time, everyone kind of knew that he had it. So at that point, it's whatever, get rid of it. But I mean, I think he could have kept it, but...
I mean, in the end, Bruce, it just had to come.
It just depends on what he does.
It just had to come down to the fact that he didn't feel secure with Tiana. I guess he didn't have a good enough conversation before going to tribal council to be like, I know I have Tiana in my back pocket, so I don't have to play it. And Josh is probably right on the money. They both are. Avery's on the money. It was a dumb move on his part, but Josh is also right in the sense of he probably just didn't know where the votes were going. But it seemed to me pretty obviously I'm watching from the couch and it feels different out there on the island, but to me it seemed obvious it was between Sue and TK. So that's why I was questioning why he played it.
I think that once TK said something about Sue and the conversations and the relationships that she's built, and having, even himself, TK saying to Sue, he's I tried talking to you, but we weren't, in the same bubble. And if you remember, that's what Sue wrote, TK, and then put bubble in the corner on her parchment. Once I think he started hearing that, maybe he started thinking to himself, okay, so now he's taking stock of how many conversations he's had, the relationships, this, that, and the other, and he got that uneasy feeling in his stomach. When yours truly didn't play their idol, I literally didn't have that feeling in my stomach. It's always they say, go with your gut, go with your gut, go with your gut. I went with my gut, and that's how I ended up. But he went with his gut, and his gut saved him at this point in time. And like you were saying, Avery, the target might be lesser on his back, but with his personality, and remember in his pregame, I'm not here to make friends, and the other, he's most definitely going to go out there, and he knows all the people that are on Survivor now, they're usually super fans. He knows that he's going out there and he's going to be searching for that idol. And now everybody else is, because they know that someone's already found it, someone's already used it. Now they're going to be put right back in the game. So he'll be back out there hunting. He'll be hunting like crazy. And it's going to be interesting to see if people leave him alone to go hunting like they did before. Like, oh, let him go do his thing. You know, think, oh, he's not going to find it. For shit, he found it now. So now they're going to have somebody, you know, if I'm a betting man, I would definitely say that one person's with him, two people are going, and whoever's left over is, you know, bottom of the totem pole. So who those people might be, I think Sue and Carolyn, they could definitely, there was two peas in a pod right there. Kyle's probably going to be the babysitter of him. Because, you know, Tiana doesn't get along with him. Like, it kind of is what it is. And she's going to be the one that's going to be kind of left by herself. The thing that I didn't like, though, is that she's like, oh, I'm in the middle. Ah, that's like a kiss of death when you're sitting in the middle of something. Like, if you're not going this week, you're going the next time you go to Tribal. Because people now start to see where you fall on the tribe, like where you are. Like, okay, so I'm going to play that middle thing, right? You had my alliance member go. Now it's time for you to go. So I don't know. She's in a tough spot, but I think the babysitting is going to be on point.
She's trusting her gut. I'll say
she's
that.
My winner pick. I hope she's a winner.
My winner pick too, but damn it, like I'm already down point.
Josh, did you have something to add? It looked like you had something to add.
I think one other thing to keep in mind with, like, specifically with Gabe playing his idol or not, is they left after the final 8 episode of 46. So at that point, they had seen 3 people leave with idols in their pockets, including 2 in a row. So in the end, there was 4 in a row, but it was 2 in a row, and then Jem in the pre-merge too. So like, it's fresh in all their minds. Like, there's a lot of people in the pre-show interviews be like, "Yeah, play your idols. Why does everyone like go home, think they have it?" So I honestly, like, yeah, he probably could have leveraged it better and other things, but I don't hate the move of being like, I'm just gonna play it super safe, and I think I know where all the votes are going, but this is gonna validate that everything is happening that I think is happening, that my reads are good, they are correct, but without having to risk anything on my own part. Like, I could see myself in a situation like having an idol playing it right away too, just to get it out of the way and know that you're not going home first. And then, I don't know, it gives you like an extra way to validate that what everybody is telling you is true. So I think the 46 thing, it probably is really fresh in his mind. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Avery.
I was gonna say, yeah, and like, I mean, it could be a situation like where he just gets insanely lucky, like Ty, and is just one that always has an idol. I mean, you never know if they're gonna be able to just go back out there and find an idol, so it doesn't matter. I mean, if he's the first one to it and he gets it, then one idol after another, and I mean, you could keep it going, you could not. So I guess it just really depends on the luck and what exactly is going to happen next episode to see if it was exactly a good play in my mind.
I think it's really interesting after everything we've talked about. And one of the interesting dynamics of this season is each tribe has a wild card person, I think. On Tuku, you have Gabe as sort of that wild card. On Lavo, you have Rome, and then on Gata you have Andy. It seems like each tribe has that one person where it's like, wow, they're causing a lot of chaos, which I think is what, if Jeff and the producers, if they actually knew exactly how everyone was going to play, that would be their goal, to put one person on each team, or each tribe, excuse me, to cause that chaos. And I think that's where all this entertainment is coming from this season, is because we have all this chaos going on every tribe. There's not a boring tribe where it's like, oh God, okay. Like a few, the only thing that comes to mind is on 41. The blue tribe was pretty boring. They wouldn't go to a tribal council. We barely heard anything about them pre-merge, which is why Erica got extremely underrated. There's usually one tribe that is just winning and you have, no storylines going on. We don't have that this season, which is amazing. Bruce, I thought you had something. That's why I lined it up. You look like you
do. I always do. Let me tell you something. won everything. If we weren't in first, we were in second. We always won. We never went to tribal. And there's something to be said about having to go to tribal and going through that process and kind of see where everybody stands. Like that would be, they should make it so that every tribe goes at least once before the merge. But I just can't get past the, I don't know, the antagonist. There's always got to be someone that's there. They have to have someone. Someone has to screw the tribe up a little bit. Now, in season 45, I really do feel strong that Austin was an alternate. Austin he is a great human being. Very, very, very even keel, lets things flow. The person that he went in for, telling you, he had to have been their antagonist. He had to have been, because everybody got along so damn well in that Reba 4 and whatever. I understand Sifa was there, whatever, but he wasn't an antagonist. He wasn't there to do that. I think there was one person that Austin went in for that was supposed to rile things up, and that was me on Bellow. So, like you said, everybody's going to have it. It has to happen. They need that. And that's what casting does. They're not looking for a bad person. They're not looking for excuse my French, the asshole, but they're looking for someone who's going to be just rough enough to be just piss everybody off. That was me. So,
hey, wear that with pride. Those are the people who entertain us every week. And if episode 3 follows suit with episode 1 and 2, I'll say it again. I think we're in for a really, really strong and good season. I know Tegwith is somewhere grinning right now. I believe this is the first new era season that we did not have a woman voted off in the first couple tribal councils. Back-to-back men as we lose TK here. I believe that's right because, I think fact check that.
That's true.
But
Hannah quit on mine.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That was the only season that I was kind of thinking about. I'm like, okay, Bruce went first. Who went after Bruce in 44?
It was Maddie. It was all women.
Maddie.
It was Maddie and then Helen and then Claire.
Back-to-back men.
Maddie,
so
Helen, Claire. Yep.
It was about time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 41 had a bunch of men go in the beginning, but there was on the double tribal was Abraham on one and Sarah on the other, but then it was a few more men after that. But yeah, this is the first time I think in the new era that's 2 men going first.
2 men right away. So obviously, and TK arguably was the strongest in challenges, and it doesn't seem like this season they're very big in the caring about challenge strength, which is a nice little change. And on the did you have something to add?
I was going to say that we have had 2 men go right away, and we're talking about the antagonists, the people who are on the outside of each tribe. Andy, Rome, Gabe, also all men. So
wow,
positions are also,
and they seem like on their tribes, they're some of the toughest in challenges. They seem like, and it's funny how they're like, we don't care about the strength, like Randy said, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna get you out because we don't like you. And I'm like, okay,
it's very personality driven.
I remember sitting on a mat and talking and we're figuring out what we're gonna do, this, that, and the other, and then the constant conversation was, we will never win any of these challenges in the first 2 parts of it. It's usually on the 3rd part, the puzzle. So just as long as you're not completely behind, if you don't fall behind 2 sections, if you're there neck and neck, you have a chance. You really have a chance to be able to yeah, that's the equalizer. So it's coming to the point now that strength really, it doesn't really, it matters. It does matter depending on a certain situation, but it doesn't matter as much as it used to. Like when they used to sit there and they would battle, joust, and they would sit there and wrestle and go through the water, dragging people that Survivor is dead. You want that? Go to Australia. You're not having that here. So the great equalizer is a puzzle. So that's usually, that's I think why you're going to see bigger dudes go away.
And then another thing on top of that too is that they merge so early now. They've only had most of the new areas
5 or 6.
It's 5 in 45 and 46. Yeah, it was 5 tribals pre-merge. And so if you get through the first 2, Like if you're on the red tribe right now, it's just like, okay, we could lose out. But if you're like, know that you're in a solid 3, like who cares if you lose every challenge, like you can afford it because you're going to make the merge. And we've seen, we saw Jam Jam, we saw Kenzie,
Good
win,
pull.
like going to the
tribe,
merge with like, without the numbers, because it just doesn't matter as much. It's not like if it's A versus B and you're going to get picked off right after the merge. At this point, you just kind of need to get there. So once you get to this point, especially, like, yeah, you could lose a couple more challenges, and if you know that you're in that good spot in the middle, like, I don't know, it's ultimately not the worst thing in the world.
Honestly, amazing pull. Jam Jam, Kinsey, last 2 winners being on the tribes that kind of just kept losing and didn't have the numbers. Or I say last 2, excuse me, 2 of the last 3. How can I forget D? I'm sorry. I knew something sounded weird. That was on me. It's almost 11 p.m. at night. I'm allowed to make that mistake. But next week we have some interesting stuff coming up. Obviously, they showed us a little bit of a showman's happening. We heard Jeff preseason talk about how perception of a showman's can affect the game, and it looks like we might get that with Sam and Sierra. I was wondering that this episode as well. I was like, are people going to think they're dating? Because as far as I know, Sierra was in a relationship going out there, but we'll
Sam
see.
was engaged going out too.
Yes. So let's see if they play to it, because I feel like both of them could instantly be like, yo, I'm engaged, I have a boyfriend or whatever. Like, I feel like they could easily pull that. But we have so much more coverage coming up for you guys throughout the week. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Actor Josh Elliott Pickle will join. I think it's Pickle. It might be Pickle. I'm so sorry. It might be Pickle. It makes more sense. But anyways, Josh will join our social crew. No tag with, but it will be ran by Kara, and Matthew from Got Something For You will be making an appearance tomorrow with her as well. That will be 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Friday at noon Eastern, join the guys, Jack and Will, as they look at the analytics. They let you know how their power rankings are stacking up, who is getting the winner's edit right now. I know Will said last week Rachel was getting the early winner's edit, but he was very big on Gabe's edit this episode. Find out where they rank everyone. That is Friday at noon Eastern. I almost said PM. And then on Saturday, Abraham, Bruce knows this guy really well. It has Got Something For You, 3 p.m. Eastern time with Survivor 45 Castaway Sifu. We know he's going to bring the energy. Bruce, you probably know this is going to be a good stream. Like, this is going to be a really entertaining stream.
I can't wait to watch. That's my boy right there.
So you will not want to miss that on Saturday. And then a couple extra stuff, just to let you know, we had our first vlog release on our YouTube channel. You can check that out right now. Tag with Matthew and Kara take you all around New York City and at the Bryson Wynn premiere event. If you've never been to one of those, they are extremely fun. If you couldn't make it, check out that vlog. It's available to watch now. It was a fun little behind the scenes. And then if you have not joined our Patreon, make sure to do that. We've got a lot of content on there, and we've got more coming up. The link is in the description down below. There's a couple tiers you can join. But in mid-October, myself will be joined by Avery, Kara, and I was actually going to talk to Josh too, not to throw it on you, Josh, but I know you're a classic Survivor fan. We'll have a panel to break down the entire season of Survivor Token Chains and talk about how so many icons came from the season. And little behind the scenes, we were actually texting about it because CBS put out the must-watch seasons, and we were talking about whether Token Chains is a good season or not. So we will do, it's not going to be like a full rewatch like once every week like we do over the summer. It will be just one episode, an hour, 2 hour long episode discussing Survivor Token Chains as a whole. So great, amazing content coming up for you guys. And then I'm sorry to cover your faces. I'm going to have to redo this graphic because it covers everything up. No, not really. We also have new merch available. You can check out all of our merch. Link in the description. You can also go to the link in our Instagram bio and SurvivorNowPodcast.com. We have our full shop. That little shirt right there says, I would jump in a well for Survivor Now. So definitely plays off of that. We also have an Andy one that says, Jeff, they were going to vote me out, but it's okay because now I can listen to more Survivor Now. So a couple fun shirts that play with season 47. But I think we've covered everything. So if you guys watched this and enjoyed the episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you are listening on Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. We greatly do appreciate it. It helps us get the name of Survivor Now out there. And with that being said, it's been an incredible start to the season, and we will catch you guys next time. Have a great night, everyone.